Welcome back, Queen, to another episode of the Creatress of Freedom. I am Annie and I am your host, and I'm so happy to have you here. If you are new, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are an OG, welcome back, Queen. Welcome back. Good to have you in the house with me today. I am so happy and so excited to drop on in and have this beautiful, delicious conversation with you today around expansion and around building on the momentum. So, whether you're in business, whether you are an employee, this conversation can literally be had for anybody. Okay, it's really important that we all learn and understand about this. So, I'm going to share with you an example that happened inside my community, and I'm also going to give you some tips and some tricks around manifesting the dream life that you are trying to manifest, right? So let's delve straight into it. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to share this story with you. So I have a client of mine who is like so ambitious, so ambitious. She reminds me of my younger self, honestly. Like, she just has so much drive. She's different from the rest of her peers. She just has such a big vision for life. And like when I was at her age, that was exactly what I was like, you know? And so I see a lot of myself in her. Anyway, we were having a conversation about like what's next for her. She's been in my world for just over 12 months now, and we were having a conversation about like, does she want to continue in mentorship, like where is she at? And she was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know, like I want to, but like I'm just not sure, like. And I said to her, well, like what are the goals, like what do you actually want to achieve? And she was like, well, I want to sit at the beach and I want to get paid, and I don't want to have to do much. And I was like, okay, great. I love that. We can totally work towards that for sure. I said that's going to we're going to have to look at a few different strategies here. So it just depends on which way you want to go. We can obviously look at building an online business that's going to create that freedom and flexibility. She's a lash technician, lash and brow technician. And I said, or, you know, we could look at potentially hiring staff and we could go down that path. And she was like, straight away shut down. She's like, nah, not interested in doing staff. Like, no, I'm definitely not going to go down that path, you know, blah, 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 blah. And anyway, so as we were having this conversation, I said to her, well, you know, this could be a little sneaky self-sabotage, right? Because what I'm hearing is you're telling me you want all these goals, and you're also telling me that you don't want the solutions to reach these goals. So I hear what you're saying about not wanting to have staff, but could that be a way of you self-sabotaging you from your own big dream life that you want? Because I think you'd be amazing at having staff. Like, you've learned so much over the years. You're a completely different, evolved version of yourself now. So I think that there's no reason why you would be amazing. Anyway, as the conversation went on, I discovered that she had had staff in the past, and it just was more headache and more stress than it was worth. And this actually happens a lot to us in the entrepreneurial space. We end up putting staff on thinking that it's going to give us so much freedom, so much flexibility, so much more money. And all it is a big fucking headache. And we go through these stages of like, why did I even bother? It was actually so much less stressful when I worked on my own, right? And so then they go through these doubts and fears, and they're like, oh, I should never put somebody on, you know, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that what happened was you didn't learn all the skills that you need to learn in order to be a great leader, right? There's different stages to business. And actually, depending on when you're listening to this episode, I have a masterclass that's coming out specifically for salon owners, where I'm literally walking you through the 3 phases in order to scale your business at each level, right? There's different mindset and different tools that need to be implemented at different stages within your business in order to reach different money milestones. So depending on when you're listening to this episode, come and DM me masterclass, and I will either send you the recording to it because it has been recorded, or you will be able to jump in live for the conversation. So just DM me masterclass, and I'm more than happy to share that training with you. So anyway, back to this conversation that I was having with you. So what we have to do is we have to understand that when we do put staff on, we have a whole new level of skill set that we have to learn, right? And it's not only a skill set, but it's also a mindset that we also have to learn too. And so as I was having this conversation with her, I said to her, "Oh, I can hear that you're scared, right? And it's natural for you to be scared." She's like, "It just seems like so much hard work. Like she's in a container where there's other women that also have a team." And she's like, "I hear their stories." And I'm like, "Fuck that. I don't want to deal with that shit. I don't want to deal with people's personal life, blah, 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 blah." And like I explained to her, how you get to show up and what you allow and what you tolerate is completely up to you, right? Like completely up to you. You can have those boundaries that we don't talk about anything personal, right? You come to work, you do your work stuff, and then you go home. If that's a boundary you want, well, that's up to you to implement that boundary, right? As a business owner. That's what leadership skills is all about. And so we're having this conversation about it, and she's like, "I don't know, like I'm just not sure that that's the path I want to go down." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool. Like I'm not here to force you into anything or tell you that that's the only way to grow your business, right? Because there's multiple ways that we can grow our business. However, I just want you to be open to it, right? Just think about it. Like, is this genuinely like a fuck no, and you're like completely closing it off because it feels so unaligned, or is this a fuck no because you are feeling a little bit of fear and you're a little bit scared and you're not really sure what that looks like?" Because they're two different energies, right? She's like, "Yeah, okay, no worries. I'll think on it." Anyway, so that was it. That was the end of the conversation. And then literally a couple of days later, she sends me a screenshot, and she's like, it's this screenshot of a DM. So someone has sent her a DM, and she's like, "I don't know what woo woo stuff you did on me," but she's like, "This chick is asking me for a job." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is gold." I was like, and this is not the first client that this has happened to. If you have listened to my interview with Vanessa Van Stripe, you will have heard that this literally happened to her. She had 3 people in the space of a window come and knock on her door or send her a DM, literally after a conversation of us having this discussion about staff. So this happens a lot. This is not uncommon in my spaces at all. So she's like, "What woo-woo stuff did you do to me?" Because I said I wasn't sure about staff, and now I've literally got someone asking me for a job. And I was like, amazing. I didn't do anything. All we did was have a conversation, right? And what that allowed you to do was to open your expansion and your capacity. And you've obviously been thinking about it, because if you had completely shut it off, then this would not have happened. So the universe has, you opened the floodgates to it, and there's obviously a little bit of curiosity here of like, "Oh, well, maybe," and therefore you became a match for this. So I said to her, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do with this text message that's come through with this message?" It was a text message. It was a DM. And she's like, "Oh, I don't want to put staff on." And she shut it down straight away. And she's like, "So I'm just going to let her know that, yeah, like, nah, like there's nothing here for her at all." I was like, "Okay, radio, how about I throw a different perspective at this for you?" And she's like, "Okay." And I said, "I want you to remember that you are a vibrational match for everything that comes into your space, right? So I can hear the fear and the parts of you that are scared about this. So what would it look like for you to lean into this space right now?" Now, I'm not saying that you have to put her on, that you have to hire her immediately, but like, what would it look like for you just to go and meet her for a coffee? Because, like, maybe she's just a cool chick. Maybe it's someone that you might want to hang out with. Maybe this could lead somewhere else, right? The reality is that she's come into your vortex for a reason. And so, what I would hate is for you to completely shut this down, because this is how momentum builds, right? And this is the point that I want to get to with this conversation. Momentum builds from the minute that we start declaring what it is that we want, right? We decide there in that moment, this is it. This is what I'm going after. I'm chasing this, or we at least become open to it, right? So when we're open to it, the vortex is open, our frequency rises, and we can start to attract things into the vortex. And as they come into the vortex, we sift them through, and we're like, "Nah, nah, nah, not for me," or whatever, right? Or it's like, "Yes, for me." But the worst thing that you can do to stop the momentum is to pause and shut it down, right? So we literally had a conversation about staff. We literally had that conversation about maybe this is the next evolution for the business for her. And then all of a sudden, the universe delivers this team member for her, potentially a great one. And she was just about to shut it down. And she was literally about to say, nah, not interested. And I said to her, you have to remember you're in momentum right now. You are manifesting so much into your life. There's so many other things. She just had her biggest month as well, since she's been in business. And so there's been some like really big milestones. And so she's currently increasing her capacity so quickly at this phase right now, right? And this is when you need to be in some type of mentorship, because if you don't calibrate to this new level, these new money milestones that you reach, and you don't anchor in as that new version of you, you will drop back down to what is safe and back to your old baseline. I see this happen all the time in my spaces where women have huge months and then all of a sudden they drop back down. And it's not because they don't know how to make the money, it's because their capacity can't hold it all, right? So they drop back to what is familiar. So as a mentor, it's my job to make sure that she keeps increasing this capacity. And when you're with me for long term, I am very good at knowing what your limiting beliefs are, what your self-sabotage habits are. And so I could see that this was another one of those little moments where potentially she was going to create a self-sabotage. And instead of building on this momentum that she's got right now, she's going to drop herself back down to her safe baseline, which means that her financials would have probably dropped. And we have to make sure that we stay open in order to continue to build the momentum. But too many of us, when the momentum is going, we want to change things. We want to do things differently. We want to stop and pause and go, let me look back at that. Let's change this. And it's like, hold on, no, everything was working up until that moment. We don't need to change anything. We just need to keep building on the momentum and making sure that you have the capacity to keep holding it as you keep reaching the next milestones, as they keep compounding. So I said to her, I really encourage you to at least meet her for a coffee, right? Like that's it. Because worst case scenario out of this entire thing is you learn to lean into this opportunity of the discomfort, right? Stepping into this level of leadership. And maybe it's just an opportunity to know how to interview someone, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe she becomes a friend. Maybe it's nothing. But you are being presented right now with an opportunity. And it's when these opportunities get presented to us, we can do one of two things. We can lean into the discomfort, or we can turn around and run away from it. Right. And there's only one path that's going to lead you towards your dream life that you actually want. And I promise you, it is not going to be the path that is over here making you run away from it. You have to lean into the discomfort to get on the other side, because literally, like, if you've seen the timeline, it's like, literally, it's like this. It's like you're here and your goal that you want is here, but you just have to take that step through the discomfort and you would literally get your goal. But the thing is that you can't see the timeline. So you're like, oh, it's going to take too long. So then you run away from it, right? We don't want that. We want you to lean into it. So she says to me, couple of days later, she doesn't respond to me straight away after I send her this message. It was a voice activation is what it was. It was definitely not, it was not just a message. It was a voice activation to really help her step into her power. So she messages me the next day and she's like, plot twist, I'm meeting her for a coffee. And I was like, yes, this is so good. So she meets her for a coffee. I message her later and I'm like, how did you go? And she's like, oh my God, you're going to laugh. And I'm like, tell me. She's like, I really like her. She's like, she would actually be a really good fit. I think like we have similar personalities. We have similar values. I think she would be so amazing in the business. Like, and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, why am I not surprised? Right? Why am I not surprised? Because she opened the vortex, right? And the universe delivered all of these things to her. And we have a moment to decide to continue to run with the momentum or stop, right? And run away from it. But because she had me there supporting her through her fears and what was coming up for her, and those fears are so logical, might I add, right? They are so logical. They seem so realistic. Like the stories that she was spinning to me was like, like I've got my birthday, I've got a busy month. Like I just don't want to put staff on. Like I don't want to have to afford them, blah, 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 right? They're all excuses and they're all stories because ultimately you can create whatever you want to create. You just have to claim your power, right? That's all it comes down to, is choosing to claim your power and not choosing to subscribe to the excuses, to the stories, to the fear that is present. The fear is always going to be there, and we can choose to lead and make decisions with the fear, or we can choose to run away from it and not lean into the fear. Like the fear is never going to go, and the body actually can't distinguish the difference between fear and excitement. It's just that you're choosing for it to be fear. So as we're having this conversation, she's like, I actually really think that I like her. And then she's like, but I don't know. Now I'm like, how am I going to work this out? Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, and the story started to like unravel, right? The fear starts to kick in. And so I said to her, this is normal. And I'm so glad that you're dropping in and getting support through this, because what's happening right now is you are like stretching yourself, right? You're stretching yourself outside of that comfort zone. And as you start to stretch yourself outside that comfort zone, it's going to feel a lot. And it's going to feel like all of these logical reasons why this shouldn't happen, we need to follow those, right? But if you want to make more money in your business, you want to grow and you want to expand your business, the only way that you can do that is by increasing your own capacity. And that can be done through lots of different ways. But an example would be leaning in to things that are like stretching you, right? That's going to increase your capacity because it builds your resilience. It's like you're building this trust to know, yes, I've got me. Yes, I can do hard things. Yes, I'm resourceful. Yes, I'm a powerful woman in business. And I know how to lead. And if I don't know, I know who to ask for support. I can lean on people. I can invest in people that can help me as I continue to grow and expand, right? So I said to her, it's natural for you to feel all of these fears. And she's like, oh, I don't think I can put her on until, XYZ and blah, blah, blah. And all the stories started to race in. Pardon me. Sorry, I'm getting excited. And as we were talking, I said to her, this is normal. You're being asked to widen this capacity right now. This is the biggest stretch that you've ever had, right? You've never stretched yourself this far. You've never had your highest month and also had like a staff member just drop out of the sky, right? She wasn't even advertising or anything. So you need to call upon all of your tools right now that you've been taught over the last 12 months, and we need to get you regulated. So I want you to take a couple of deep breaths, and I want you to anchor into this version, right, of who you are right now. Don't fall back into the past versions of you 6 months ago, 3 months ago, even last week, right? Last week, you're a totally different version to who you are now. So anchor in this version of who you are right now. So close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths, imagine this life, this expansive life that you're feeling right now, and feel this expansion in your body and ground into that feeling. Reminding yourself that you are resourceful, reminding yourself that you are powerful, reminding yourself that you can make anything work, reminding yourself that you are a powerful manifester, that you create the life that you want to live, right? Calling on all your power and bringing it all back to you and not letting it go to anything that's externally outside of you, calling it all back, right? Anchoring into that here and now, knowing that you created this life for yourself and that you can handle whatever the universe brings you because you're made for this. Yeah. And so I gave her this scenario to work through. And I'm sure that there's still going to be more things that are going to come up, right? And that's part of the evolution of self, that you're going to be faced with challenges. We live in a world where one of the universal laws is polarity, right? So you can't expect to have growth and success and winnings without the challenges, without the losses, without the fails. They coexist together, but we often only want to get so focused on the wins. And it's like, you can't have the wins without the challenges, right? It just is not possible. So accepting that as we step into new levels of growth, we are going to be also dealt the exact same hand with challenges as well, and opportunities for us to lean in to increase our capacity and step more and more into our like identity and power. And so I share this with you today because can you see how the momentum was happening for her and how easily she could have stopped that momentum if we were not having these conversations, right? She could have easily not met with her. And I can guarantee, because I've seen this happen too many times, that come this month, it would have dipped. Her income would have dipped right back down to an old baseline level. And because that's where she feels safe and familiar, right? So when you are manifesting and you start to have things come into your space, I really want you, these opportunities come into your space. I really want you to ask yourself before you decide yes or no, ask yourself, did I ask for this? Because you probably did, right? You probably did. And so if you did ask for it, then it's like, how can I lean into this? How can I lean into this opportunity to grow, to learn whatever the lesson is that I need? Because clearly there's something that I need to be taught out of this, or it wouldn't be happening right now. And really lean into it, lean into the opportunity to expand your capacity. Because the deeper that you go, the wider you can receive. Yeah. So when you start to build this momentum, continue with it. Don't stop. Don't get off the train. Stay on the train, right? Know that you are so powerful. And I think sometimes we get scared of our own power, right? Because we're like, shit, like, and that's what I said to her. I'm like, look how quickly this is happening. This is happening so fast. And there was a couple of other scenarios that also happened for her. And I was like, girl, you need to start being careful what you wish for, because literally everything you're wishing for, whether it's what you want or what you don't want, is literally coming into your vortex right now. You are a magnet. So this is what happens when you come into my spaces. So if you are someone that is wanting to start manifesting their dream life, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's more money, maybe it's staff, maybe it's business partners, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, maybe it's a house, maybe it's a different location, maybe it's the private jet, whatever it is, I highly recommend that you come into my space, because I am so devoted to making sure that my frequency is at a high frequency. So it's not possible for you to not come into my space and have your frequency raised, right? It's not possible, because I am the embodiment of my work. And because I'm the embodiment of my work, the minute that you come into my frequency, your frequency is automatically raised. Because your frequency is raised, you then start to attract everything into your life that you want to have. And this isn't just about being in my frequency, it's also you bringing the stuff, right? Because there's lots of women that have come into my space and haven't had the growth and haven't had the success, right? And it's because they haven't been willing to show up. It's because they choose to subscribe to the stories. They choose to, instead of leaning into the opportunity of this growth that's in front of them, they don't want to, right? They want to be scared. They want to stay scared. They want to stay the victim in the story instead of actually hearing a different perspective on it. So that's why strategy is not always the key, right? It's literally, strategy will work in every single area of your life. The reason that it doesn't work for everybody is because not everyone's in their power. Not everyone is choosing to be of that frequency in order to make things work. And so for the women that are like that, they 100%, like, they have huge growth. They're the ones stepping off the salon floor. They're the ones manifesting their life. They're the ones that are getting so much clarity because they're so connected to source, and they don't listen to the outside influences, and they really, really tune into themselves. So that is my tips around making sure that you keep that vortex opened. Do not look back. Do not pause. Continue building on the momentum, right? Continuing allowing that vortex to stay opened, and continuing to ask yourself, did I ask for this, right? If an opportunity presents itself, did I ask for this? And you probably did in some way, shape, or another, right? To give you another example, a lot of my clients will say to me, this happens a lot too. They'll be like, oh, I just am so tired. I'm so tired. I just want to take a day off. I want to like just do nothing. I want to have a sleep in. I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then like a couple of days later, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so dead. I have no appointments in my book at all. Like, what am I going to do? I can't cope with this. And I'm like, well, you kind of manifested this. And they're like, what? No, I didn't. I don't want a quiet week. And I'm like, yeah, you did, because you just told me like 2 days ago that you're so exhausted and you just would give anything to have to have a day off and not have to work with clients or to not have to do anything on the business. So the universe heard that and it was like, okay, I'm going to clear your calendar and you're going to have a day to yourself. And then they're like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So you have to be careful because the universe is responding to you. So whether you are manifesting something, whether it's what you want or whether it's what you don't want, is what you're going to get. Let me repeat that. Whether it's what you want or whether it's what you don't want is what you're going to get from the universe. Yeah. So if you are saying, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, you're going to manifest that. So it's why it's so important for us to say, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want, because that's what you're going to attract into your field. So if today's episode has landed for you, please come and let me know. I would love to hear from you. I always love hearing from you guys. And if you would love to deepen on our work together, then my door is always open. There is lots and lots of different ways that you can come into my spaces, whether you are a woman in business, whether you're a woman in career, whatever it is, there is so much for us to work together on. From business strategy to somatics coaching to Reiki healing, you'll find everything in the show notes. So go and have a look. And if there's anything that's currently live at the moment or any current masterclasses, you'll also see that in the show notes too. So make sure that you register. And I would love to see you there. If you have any questions about any of my spaces or anything that you would like to come into my world and start working on or working together with, then my DMs are always open. So I would love to see you in them as well. Okay, babes, have a beautiful day and I will talk to you real soon. Bye for now.